After Hell's Gate.
This year, in there.
Now, other dramas this morning.
As already mentioned, Kenya's heavy showers have thrown a bit of everything over the week. This one, though, is a stage that demands respect.
Obviously, images from way earlier today. They didn't, unfortunately, complete the previous stage.
That was a little bit confusing.
Story of the day. It's a huge shame for them. And also, of course, Jan Solan's just rolling.
High altitude, very low power, to be honest.
It's still okay. It's always really fast stage, but quite interesting. It's really soft car.
Really sad, isn't it, that we've lost Calais this morning, just a few moments ago. But let's just get Josh McAlean started the event so strongly. Sedaridis, Munster having a fine run. He's up to Oitanak. So we saw those scenes. What incredible numbers of fans, Chenny, we've had
to see an incredible stage. We've seen so much action here, and this, of course, is the dress rehearsal for as far as the fans go. Yeah, PK. We were hearing rumours that as early as 3 o'clock this morning, the Trafford roads and people walking to try and get themselves into their key spectator spots. You can see
what he can there from Super Sunday, but as you say, it's always so difficult, isn't it, for people that are restarting. You can see how much it's so far after 2 stages. He is on course to get a couple of points on Super Sunday. So the high altitude up here, we don't really think about that so much here in Kenya, but it's, yeah, good point.
Yeah, I was talking about a lot thinner. You haven't got that dense air that you get down at sea level. You know, engines to the combustion chamber, the more of a bang you get, and that produces more power. When you're up at altitude, obviously the air is just referring to, and this is one of the highest rallies we go to now. I think Mexico used to be the highest, bit longer to get up to top speed.
Here's one of these big groups of fans. We do have this new finish to look out for here. They will be turning right.
Great shot from the helicopter, and yeah, weekend cleans the most. We talk, you know, a lot in Kenya about road position and how it's more of a gravelly surface, so it definitely cleans.
Yeah, you can sort of see from this camera angle here. Look at all the dust plume. Environment, I guess a lot of people can say it. Very much a rally of what could have been, isn't it, for Josh?
Yeah. What do you expect? Yeah. You know, and he's got a lift. They were obviously incredibly loud, and it sucked a load of dust in. They cracked on, they got on with it, and it's all part of the schooling of coming rallying in Kenya, I'm afraid. So you've got to. That's what he has to deal with. Challenge.
Yeah, really wonderful, fast-flowing stuff. Look at those top speeds at the bottom of your screen the times. But yeah, good, smooth surface, not too many rocks around. This is great, what we want to see on being run. They actually got a service break coming up after this big rock on the inside of the corner there, which you don't see that often, but get that car fixed coming into this one.
Critically though, and you're right, you mentioned to do a gearbox or whatever like that. It's only 15 minutes, so really it is a case of just whipping the wheels off, making sure everything's okay, finishing fluids and that sort of thing.
Yeah, you'll see the distinctive snorkel, haven't we, over the last couple of days. Is this tricky right-hander here. It's after a long straight, got to get the braking points right.
And bit of a dress rehearsal for this afternoon for Josh. And his fight for some powers.
To 11th place overall, so just one outside the point scoring places. That's after the bit of a reshuffle after, of course, to get a couple of points. The Greek gentleman driver. Bit of information, receiving it differently.
Yeah, he's somehow managed to simplify his pace out of trouble this weekend, and as you said, despite the pace not being there.
With a tyre sort of knocked off its rim and things, I mean, at least 2 or 3 times. I mean, that could have been even better on this famous old event. Look at the wonderful view across HELLSGATE National Park. Great job as always. Veteran in here.
Despite the pace not being there.
Seconds down the tyre. It's not off its rim and things. At least 2 or 3 times. I mean, that could have been even better on this famous season event. Look at the wonderful view across HELLSGATE National Park. Great job as always.
That's when his peak out. You said throughout the weekend, his pace is so detailed. Anybody else he's just kept his nose clean.
Incredible scenes. Jordan safely through that final right-hander. Bit of a chat between them. And the third of our M Sport 4 Pumas, Greg Munster, Louis Luca. Wonderful. You take what you can, don't you, in these situations?
You know, Greg could be happy with that after all the problems that he has had throughout the weekend. The biggest one being, it hasn't been setting the world alight. I think, you know, yesterday he took a stage victory. The stage victory is still a stage win. Big Raj has been slowly working his way back up the leaderboard. There's so many swings, isn't there, in issues, and it's been such a good rally, and I've loved every single second of sitting in the commentary.
What you expect, isn't it, out here in Kenya? It's expect the unexpected is the mantra in the Safari. You know, relatively strongly, getting a couple of fifth-place finishes in Central Europe and Japan. He had a disappointing year. It's something to start building on, and we are still seeing the flashes of pace that we'd expect. As you say, it's so early in this. There, Latvian driver competing in a park campaign as well this year, so certainly things to look forward to. 9.5 seconds off that early 4-mode benchmark then at the stuff out there, isn't there? I think it's certainly going to be cleaning this first pass through pretty dramatically. More, because obviously there's all this kind of definitely saw like a plume of something.
Yeah, we need to get on.
Do have this service to come, but I mean anything engine related, you do fear the worst, don't you? Let's see.
He ain't even going to get that to the finish line. He's just lost all power. Okay, he's been able to drop a gear. He's now
seconds down at 9 kilometers. Clearly, just absolutely agonisingly.
The fact that the camera.
It's just that one previous shot. Make out what the chat was there, but yeah, clearly very alarming. And let's just pray they'll just pray they can yeah, get that car back up there. He's got huge gaps, and so let's just hope they can get that car back to service and get the M Sport boys to get a look under that bonnet. Clear the spot now. Spoke to they've got Yuha Kankanen in team boss duties, and I mentioned that to Sammy as well. High praise indeed, isn't it, when it comes from one of the legends of the sport? Now we're hearing that might be gearbox related, Munster. So yeah, as you said, he was struggling to drop it.
He didn't have any power though, did he? It's not like it was like he suddenly lost power rather than was stuck in a gear. There's a bunch of lights on the steering wheel. They'd all gone out.
They've been making their way back up to the service park, and as you say, it's only that 15-minute service, so
I'm not even, you know, you have to see what he can do, but I don't think it's just gearboxes. Even if you were just stuck in a gear,
yeah, obviously the dust trail behind him, but it looked like there was some sort of more grey colour steam coming out. With me, the Frenchman getting his eyes in for a Wolf Power stage tilt a bit later on. Taka Katsuta, Aaron Johnston, what a weekend they've had.
That's just after 5 cars.
Yeah, as I mentioned at the top of the show, I mean, he's been had a rotten luck where we asked him last night. I'd actually completely lost count. I knew it was at least sort of 3 or 4. I didn't realise it was 6. On mission, wasn't he?
He's been on a mission all morning, I think, hasn't he, PK?
Other than hitting that hay bale, he'd have been right where he would be.
Braked himself and clouted a mound of earth. The front left looks like he's gotten away with it. Toyota can't really risk losing 2 cars, so I wonder if they just said to Taka, just back off and let's get this car home.
Thierry Ville's the lead runner in the Super Sunday standings. His 4-mo is actually 3.6, so that's an interesting fight, because you can see this is a direct comparison. Yeah, and there already it's lost, isn't it? 4.8 seconds for your corners, but as you say, Chenny, yeah, maybe that call has been made. Good go again. Last corner, there's the yellow boards.
When you're poorly, and in these temperatures, it doesn't want it. You know, everything's just fighting against you. So you know, it's the temperatures make it much harder to rut up as well, and therefore is the surface starting to slow down a little bit. You know, you're looking at the splits from what he's just experienced.
I'll tell you what, though, with this time as well, this is going to put 4-mo right back up there. He was 6.1 down on Neuville, but as you can see from the splits there, the Belgian's going to concede it. Yeah, 2.8 seconds in Super Sunday standings. But Neuville still looking very comfortable on for a back. And the third Hyundai, of course, driven by a former champion, Wout Tanak and Martin Yarbi-Yar.
Yeah, again, incredible pace throughout the weekend. It was that front right drive shaft issue that really, you know, ignoring tyres and you know, punctures, mechanically at least, Elvin Evans' drive shaft issue, just stopping him in his tracks, and that allowed Elvin to scamper off into the distance, and Calero Valley. Wout Tanak on course for 2nd place.
mentioned maybe that as Saturday goes along and you're running out of stages, running out of kilometres, and the gap isn't, you know, as you just said. I mean, not wanting to put a commentated curse on him, but yeah, the Evans had Formo in here, though. I think you're right, though. There are some ruts starting to appear ahead of him.
It's a power. It's just when the road is that soft, it saps power. So Adrian Formeau, I think, is going to win this stage. Put himself right in the fight, as you said, for Super. It was nice and clean and smooth for him. When he arrives here in a few hours' time, if he wants to score some power stage points.
Yeah, just had it confirmed as well that Taka, thankfully, he is Tanak, but even he's not going to match Formeau. A lot slower here now, 5.5 seconds dropped. It's Formeau up to second, which would be 4 extra points. Then it's Katsuta. One man who's not getting distracted, though, by this hub for bonus points, because he doesn't really need to.
5 left, north, keep 70 surface, push, 86 left, keeps on it.
Stage dress rehearsal, wasn't it, for Formeau, because I think that's clearly now going to be a stage win for the Frenchman. Stake. 28-point lead in the championship, remember, for the Welshman, coming into this first full tarmac event to come the next time out in the new events in the Canary Island. You've got to be first on the road for that run of sort of European gravel events.
60, unseen slot, 3 right long, entry, 3 left sharp on the crest trim, 3 right long, right
It's
sharp.
really got a great flow to this stage, hasn't it? I mean, you do see a bit of everything over the weekend, but it's nice and mud holes.
3 left plus long, caution, lip, 4K. Right,
It's actually incredible.
The ground temperature is always quite high, isn't it? And it absorbs the water in a lot of places. And the stage is definitely rutted up more than I thought it was going to in this amount of time. With only it's getting slower.
Yeah, 11.2 seconds. If I'm right in saying the first stage win for Formeau over the weekend after a difficult first cut. 7.2 for Evans. 12.4 down, but that's a comfortable lead is to go. Tanak clawing a bit back on today, but he's not going to do it on pace alone. Gus Greensmith, he'd already got himself up there at the end of yesterday, and Jan Solans just battered the Spaniards. Toyota's looking in a few minutes' time. But Gus, as he did last
Poland's rolling the car out of contention, and we were all set for a real fight for the... As I said, we haven't seen the mistake that Jan made. We don't know the circumstances. We don't even know, as I said, the damage. And 2 more. And it'll be back-to-back Safari Rally Kenya victories for him
for the new season. Of course, he started, as you say, the same way. Rocky, that little section, isn't it? Last year, but the team this year still in the Skoda. But yeah, being run by Race 7. Jonas Anderson, Swedish co-driver alongside.
Right tightens out, 5. Open to 100.
He obviously knows he's got this huge advantage now, but it doesn't feel like he's backing off too much. It's a nervous one, isn't it, when you get yourself into these huge leads? You don't want to lose that rhythm that's worked so...
You don't drop into the zone, you know, you don't drop into that place where it's just you and the kicking a mistake. So Gus just carrying on, and I've got to be honest, this has got more opportunity for things to go wrong, for sure. HELLSGATE is just a fast, you head down and drive nice and clean. For me, that Osirangoni will be the one where Gus just needs.
Here we go then, let's take a look at the outside of Jan's car then. Yes, oh my goodness, I didn't realise he's lost his...
as well completely, so he's got no choice.
Here's how to find the
Yeah,
best
this is going to be a very dusty ride, at least 3
and
minutes. He's still second, Jenny.
Yeah, and there's no reason why he shouldn't finish second as well. He's second very...
Yeah, wing's still on, which is pretty incredible. I mean, I guess they smashed the windscreen. They probably deliberately kicked it out, haven't they? That's
just getting rid of the entire thing altogether and slapping some goggles on. But, you know, again, testament to the strength of that car. And we haven't seen it, but significant damage to the car. You can see it's taken the windscreen and the snorkel. It was at 15.4 kilometres. I think it was in a heavy, after a long straight into it, in a heavy braking zone, and a big push. It's potentially just taken a big cut, and it's just rolled the car over.
It was literally, I mean, the sad thing for, as you say, just literally the last couple of kilometres coming into it. Yeah, he was 7.6 seconds.
Unbelievable, isn't it? You can roll one of these cars, get it back on its wheels, kick the windscreen out, press on, and still set.
Again, all part of the Safari Adventures.
Hello down
really was in with the mix
the end of Saturday.
Especially after having that Toyota on its roof on this final day.
That
Look
one
at the scenes there.
before, but no, it's been definitely a very challenging.
There's Fisher's Tower, and he's still second, and he's had a face full of dust for the last 10.5 repairs are needed.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight turnaround though. It's only a 15-minute service. Just hearing Oitana reporting from the end stage, it is getting very soft on there. Sorry, that we can physically see it, but it was a real shame about that spin. I think I would have been leading Super Sunday.
Yeah, it really was. He probably would have been up there. He's still in the mix though. I wouldn't write him off. Still 2 stages to go. He's up there as he safely gets over that rocky section. I think I'm right in saying he had the suspenders incurred. He still holds on to 3rd place, which is quite incredible. And that just Oliver Solberg's another. We'll hopefully see the Swede. He's been absolutely
Run wide there. We've run wide there. Sorry, PK.
That's all right, mate.
2 wheels. You can see now he's offline and he's just working his way towards that.
They're actually almost bounced up the side of that bank, didn't he, and got away with it. And one man we're not seeing today, sadly, is Diego Dominguez, who are unable to restart today, which is disappointing. He could have been on for a podium finish as well.
Get an idea. Very odd how he ran wide. We'll get an idea.
We heard that sort of beeping sound. They got another additional effort to just absolutely good spot, Chenny. Yeah, that's explains the wild ride. But his 3rd place, dominant force through the opening day before that issue.
And Petta, and he knows that he was just a victim of circumstance, victim of what would have been a win. And he said, I know it's not my fault. Wants to win this this event, and you know, it was. He said he was just
high suspension they run on this rally. But yeah, I'm going to say, obviously the win in Sweden with too many bad scores, can you? And I think Oliver probably up there. He finished 2nd last year behind Sami Bayri. You know, all these guys are going to be right up there all the way through the year. But a 5th place the day since then. And again, as you can see from the splits, he's got Daniel Twist ahead of him, but he's a long.
Yeah, and I think what would have been, you know, got very deep into there. Outrageously deep into that one.
Makes it through though. What a run that was. 12.9. You know, which actually, once Robin Perrin went out, he was on for a couple of Super Sunday points at one point. Coming in, just drifted a little bit. He's actually 8th overall in the. Great to see the 5-time Safari winner back, the local start.
Slightly out of line as well on Tim Jessop's side, but yeah, he's had so much success here, hasn't he? Yeah, very, very, very well respected is Carl Tundo.
The leading local. I'm a winner, actually, of course, 2-time in this level. Kaito Katanovic. It's just over 2 minutes behind our 70th anniversary, didn't we, a couple of years back? That 1953 was actually to celebrate the coronation WRC in 1973, and great to come back here 5 years ago. This obviously not as lots of format, but this new region up here in Vasha has certainly been a wonderful addition.
He's lost the front bumper of the car there. He's got a bit of a gap to play with, but the key thing has got to be protection of that car has gone. You know, the teams have come here. You see the WRC2 cars; they're running bull bars. And the cooling package is very, very exposed. So Carl just has to be careful. Obviously, he is carrying it 20.6 down.
I mean, that actually could open the door for Katanovic here, couldn't it? It's only just over, was it Tuesday, yesterday morning. I actually spoke to, hopefully, I don't know if we have time to see Kaito as well. Bolt sheared off from one of his rear tyres. He said it was a rather alarming moment. But
it was a rear left suspension bolt, wasn't it? And it's not a nice feeling at that speed when 0.1 down on Gus Greensmith. Look how exposed the cooling package is there, PK.
Yeah.
You know, you've got the intercooler there.
All the way to the finish line, won't he? Listen to this.
Do you know, When we arrived this morning, I just took a quick wander up and down the service park here. I've never seen the locals. There's just front and rear bumpers everywhere, particularly fronts, just lying around all up.
The Solberg, of course, who no one's got anywhere near, but maybe not doable in here for Kaito, for Polish two-time European champion. And let's see if we can try.
Carl, you're safely through this one. There are thousands of people here. The traffic jam.
And low water pressure, so I haven't noticed the crowds.
How did you manage this?
Not at all.
Wow. Well, his forearms.
That's incredible. These people live there now. You're not going anywhere. That's where you live. That's...
Yeah, I hope they're not in a hurry to get home because, yeah, well, that could be obviously the time that dropped with Oliver's time penalties. He's still 7 minutes late, so he's making up huge chunks. I saw Elliot briefly yesterday, just after that was a pretty bold statement from Elliot with was it a 12-minute gap, whatever it was, to make up at the site up there with his best results ever.
Yeah, it's going to be a big ask for Oliver, isn't it?
It was 12, so he's pretty much... Yeah. So he's not going to do it, but probably. But he's absolutely...
Two cars and then the more gentleman drivers, should we say. And for Oliver to have taken the time that he has done. Didn't to go quickly in Sweden, right? But Oliver has now gotten quick everywhere.
Mo, welcome to the party finally on this return today. It's fastest time through for Oliver Solberg. And the seas of people enjoying the fans. Made no difference to Elvin and Greg Munster in 5th place. Gus Greensmith now leading the way in...
just approaching here, the Montole.
Thanks to your company.
He's completely covering some of the cars. The one good thing about, not just one good thing, is many machines back out there often game over. But he managed to fix the problem as best he could. Managed to get through the state.
Great composure by improvising, both himself and Jonne Halttunen, improvising to the whole structural setup of that rear left suspension. And then, as you said, limp it through the stages and ultimately end up doing more damage. Kalle